Thank you, President. And speaking as a big fan of pot plants, my question is to... took a little while. My question is to the Minister for Water. The recent Ombudsman's report, Where the Water Rises, investigated the planning decisions and flood modelling leading to the flooding of the Rivervue Retirement Village and flooding of the Kensington Banks estate, and highlighted serious gaps in the existing planning systems. Rivervue was built on plans based on Melbourne Water's, and the Ombudsman's quote, rushed and flawed flood modelling and the removal of key planning controls which led to its subsequent flooding and destruction. Similarly, Kensington Banks has 850 houses at risk of flooding due to the development being based on outdated and incorrect flood modelling. Echoing the recommendations of the inquiry into the 22 floods, the report recommends the creation of a one-stop statewide flood information portal and regular reviews and updates of flood models. When will the government implement these recommendations?
Minister.
Thank you, President, and I thank Mr Ettershank not just for his question but his genuine interest in this whole area for some time. So thank you for that. We thank the Ombudsman and her office for the work that they have done, and we're absolutely live to the issues that have had an impact on residents at Rivervue, but also, of course, at Kensington Banks. As I said when we last sat, we will carefully consider the Ombudsman's recommendation and will respond in due course. I also have written to Melbourne Water to outline my expectation that they prioritise engagement with Rivervue residents and owners as part of the Maribyrnong catchment flood mitigation study. And of course, I'm always open to engaging with members of the community, and I have in recent times received some correspondence which I'm in the process of responding to. And as I also have indicated that I'm wanting Melbourne Water to prioritise the engagement with Rivervue residents and owners. This is absolutely essential. I know that there has been ongoing engagement with the residents to discuss mitigation options, and I think that has been well received, and I think that there has been a step up more generally in terms of the engagement and the communication between residents and Melbourne Water, and indeed others that have been involved in the mitigation study. So I'm heartened to see that there has been a quantum leap in terms of that engagement. The Rivervue flood modelling was undertaken many years ago. It was in 2003. And of course, since then, Melbourne Water's approach and personnel responsible for flood risk and housing statement delivery has been absolutely overhauled. We have the right processes and new people in place at Melbourne Water to ensure that the community is given an updated flood risk information, and this is about helping communities plan, manage risk and build homes that are safe from flooding. What I'm wanting to do is not just encourage and have that expectation that there is thorough and consistent engagement with Rivervue residents in particular, is for the conversations to be real and that they be concrete.
Ms Ettershank, supplementary.
Thank you, President, and thank you, Minister, for that answer that does strike to it. And I'd like to just drill a little bit deeper into that question of the Rivervue Retirement Village. Because when that village was inundated, 45 of the 47 affected villas were so badly damaged that they were uninhabitable. The affected residents were then confronted by the fact that the village operator had failed to adequately insure the properties And as a result, they now find themselves with villas which remain totally vulnerable to the next flood and are virtually unsellable. The Ombudsman in the Environment and Planning Committee inquiry into the 22 floods recognised that this atrocious situation was due to the flawed flood modelling that you referred to, and grievous errors in the planning process. The Ombudsman's recommendation to the government that, the Ombudsman has recommended to the government that residents receive compensation from the state, and apparently that is under consideration. So I ask, when will the government step up and actually support financially these elderly residents whose lives have been destroyed by failed regulatory process?
Time's expired. Minister.
Thank you, President. Again, I thank Mr Ettershank for his question, and in particular the supplementary question, which goes to the heart of concerns that he and others have raised for some time. What I can say is what I have previously said, is that we as a government will carefully consider the Ombudsman's recommendation, and we will respond in due course. There is a fair bit of material that needs to be considered, and it will take some time, but we also want to do this properly, and of course we will respond in due course.